Welcome to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. Hello and good evening and welcome back to the Kop TV for yet another episode of Top of the Kops, number 28. That's 28 weeks of goodness that we've been bringing you so far. So to thank us, please, if you are watching now, drop us a little like, comment as well, because I've got a belter guest on today. And if you haven't already, of course, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyway. Please do subscribe to the Kop TV, the voice of football's most famous stand. Of course, you all know that by now. Here's what's coming up on today's show: a comprehensive football roundup of an action-packed week, as well as a huge matchday mixer, a classic Would You Rather, and some huge Top of the Kops moments as well. So please do get your questions in for my incredible guest. He's BBC One Extras, he's Arsenal's, he's Red Bull. You're actually working with you can see the pattern here, but it is Nick Bright. Thank you so much for coming.
What's going on? Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How's lockdown life for you?
Cold and wet. I am keeping one eye on Skyscanner. I can't lie to you, Nick. You know me. I like to escape when times get tough.
Yeah, I think the last time I spoke
right.
to you came onto my Radio 5 live show, and being the jet setter that you are, you were actually in Tenerife. You were like in a lovely apartment, you know.
Yeah.
You see, after the show, you were like, I'm just heading down to the beach. If I remember correctly as well, didn't you actually? Because we have a WhatsApp group for the show. Didn't you actually put a picture of you at the beach into the group afterwards?
I might not have.
You definitely did.
But yeah, you're right. You are, of course, the host, brilliant host of The Squad on BBC Radio 5 Live. I'm actually joining you again on that show to preview Liverpool versus Manchester United on the 17th of January, which is also my birthday. So please be nice. I mean, it's going to be before the game when we speak, but just be nice to me on that day, bro. Because as you can imagine, my emotions right now, roller coaster business.
Yeah, all over the place. I should say as well, a January birthday is for all the January babies. Yeah, it's terrible at the best of times. I mean, at the minute, a January birthday, it couldn't get any worse.
But normally my birthday is a mixture of happy birthday, mate. Sorry though, I'm doing dry Jan, got no dough, and so you kind of just get the stragglers that come along, and you're like, oh yeah. You know, that is bang out of order. That is bang out of order. Big up everyone that came to my birthday last year.
I didn't even get an invite, mate. You know what I mean? I'm not even classed as a regular.
Do you know? Don't be silly. Do you know what else is funny though? We've actually worked together at an event. I remember it's probably about 2 years ago. Ultimate Boxer. You were DJing at the after party.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah,
you were hosting the event.
I was. Myself and Josh Denzel was on hosting duties that night, and I remember you were spinning the decks for a room full of, how can we say, influencers.
Yeah, basically, it was like a who's who of Instagram for the UK. But it's mad. Like when I think back to that event, because do you know what is absolutely wild? And I'm not saying this as like, you know, pretending. Seriously, sure. I actually thought of that event earlier. I don't know why it like popped into my head earlier. And I thought about it, and mad that you happened to bring it up. Yeah, that's just mad. Because I was just going to say the reason I thought about it is just because the way we are at the moment in the world, you know, we can't go to clubs or go to anywhere like that unless you're in Dubai. But you know, like back then, it was like a room packed full of like hundreds of people. You know, it's nuts,
mate. It's crazy to think that. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. But when are we going to see something like that come around again? I mean, hopefully as soon as possible. Obviously, we're all ready. I remember that night I was on the Ultimate Boxer stories, and I went to film you on the DJ decks. And you're like, "Don't film! I haven't even started yet."
Yeah.
You're just setting up.
Yeah, what actually happened is there was I think they only had like one set of decks. So like, they had the main set of decks like in where the boxing ring and that was, because it's in the Indigo 2. If you know, if you're familiar with the venue, and I got to the like little after party area, and there was no decks in the like DJ bit. So I was like, well, you know, the event's finished. People have started coming through. I'm like, where's the promoter? Because I haven't got the decks. Can't do anything.
Mate. It doesn't surprise me. We'll leave it at that with them lot. But obviously, if you are watching this, guys, please do get your questions in for Arsenal fan Nick Bright, and we will get through to those at the end of the show. I mean, we'll touch on it briefly then. Liverpool obviously failing to come away with any points last night. It's almost as if we became the draw specialist, and I was thinking at the end, well, let's just take a point and get out of here. But we couldn't even manage that. What is it, Nick, that's happening? Because realistically, this is the same team that smashed Crystal Palace 7-0 away only 2 weeks ago. What has happened? What has happened in the last 2 weeks to kind of give us this? It was just a no-show last night, wasn't it, from Liverpool?
I think that, if you look back at last season and the phenomenal season that Liverpool had, to repeat that feat, it's going to be so difficult. And especially this season where injuries among that Liverpool side, especially at the back, are so prevalent, and I hate to say his name this early in the broadcast, but Virgil van Dijk missing is massive, not only just from a defensive point of view, but just a confidence point of view from the rest of the team. That resonates through the team when the people behind you are on job. You know what I mean? That gives you confidence going forward. But even going forward yesterday, it was just one of those days, man. It just didn't work. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Trent, who's been amazing for you guys consistently for 2 seasons now, and he's still so young. Yesterday, it just didn't work for him at all. He gave the ball away loads. I've seen today like memes and stuff of his rating from the game. And yeah, to be honest with you, mate, it's difficult to put a finger on it, but I think it was just one of them that it just wasn't Liverpool's night last night, and you're gonna have days like that,
Yeah, it seems that we're having a few more this season compared to last. 15 points down at this stage of the season compared to last season already.
But on that though, do you think? And I'm asking you this as an Arsenal fan who, believe me, I know how it feels to be somebody who expects a lot more than your football team is willing to and able to deliver. But do you think that because of what happened last season and maybe even the season before where you ran Manchester City really, really close, do you think that because of those 2 incredible seasons that Liverpool have had, the expectation now from Liverpool fans is up there? Because you've drew and lost a couple of games this season doesn't mean that Liverpool are crap. You know what I mean? And the thing that I'm seeing on social media and blah blah, I'm seeing banter from fans trying to make out Liverpool are useless and they've had it. And I'm like, well, hang on, they've lost 2 games.
Yeah.
2 games.
I think we've lost 8 games in 90 odd league games, and you mentioned there the last 2 seasons how incredible they've been. Take it back a season before that, we get to the Champions League final. So there's your expectation. It starts midway through 2018. I mean, it's one of them. I mean, Anam here says, do we still think we're in this title race? Of course we are. It would be absolutely 100%. Ludicrous to suggest otherwise. Andrej, who's a keen listener of the show, just imagine United winning the league this season. I'm going to delete my accounts on Twitter, Facebook, etc. No. We are not. That's something we are not doing tonight, Andrej. We are not. And I repeat, not imagining anything like that. But going back to what you said, Nick, there, I think obviously the expectations are so high. And it seems to fall back on the same thing for me, which is and this isn't just a now thing. I said it on the stream last night after the game, sorry. It's a complacency thing, but this isn't new. If you talk to most Liverpool fans, they'll tell you, we're bang up for the big games. We always do well against the big teams. It's the small teams. I was watching season reviews on VHSs of the late 90s, and we were saying that then. So it does seem like it's maybe creeped in a little bit. I think it is complacency, because what else can it be? We are still putting out a world-class team, pretty much the same, that has won us all these trophies, apart from obviously, as you mentioned, Virgil and Gomez. So I do think it is complacency creeping in. I think Klopp is someone who definitely doesn't stand for that at all. And I would not have liked to have been in that dressing room at full time last night, because Klopp, of course, he will take as much responsibility on himself as he can. But at the same time, he's actually come out and said the players have got to take responsibility for this too.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's not going to click every single game. This is what, as football fans, sometimes it's hard for us to grasp when your team goes through such a purple patch, or you're so used to your team winning. I'll give you examples. Look at Celtic in the Scottish Premiership this year. Celtic, what are they, like 19 points behind Rangers or something like that? Yeah. So, I mean, and they're not used to that. And you're seeing their fan base absolutely blow up. I mean, I'm not saying that it's that bad at all for Liverpool, but, you look at La Liga, Barcelona fans and Real Madrid fans. They're not used to losing because they win all the time. The Premier League, other than last season where Liverpool dominated so heavily, the Premier League is never really like that. You know, even if you look back at, you know, I know this is a Liverpool channel, but you know, if you look back at the previous great Manchester United teams that dominated, you know, that everyone talks about their dominance, but they never really ran away with it in the same way that Liverpool did last season. You know what I mean? Ever. So I think it's just one of those where I still think, you know, I'm still absolutely certain that Liverpool are the favourites to win the Premier League. I think they've got the best team. You know, I think it's all going to come together eventually. You're going for a tough time at the moment, but you know, as that meme says, tough times never last. Only tough people last. But yeah, like I think, and also, can I just say, as one thing that we can agree on as Arsenal and Liverpool fans, most definitely, is that we don't want Manchester United to win the league. That's
goodness gracious.
And I don't think they will. You know, today I'm seeing, you know, Man United fans acting like they've already got their hands on the trophy. Oh, just loads
Guys, what's news? He tagged me in that, the cheeky bastard. He tagged me in that video.
They're acting like they've won the league already. It's classic Man United fan behaviour, you know, and it's just going to be funny, you know, because they will not. If you look at Manchester United, yeah, they've got Penandes who's doing a good job for them or whatever, but like they have not got the squad to contend with the likes of Liverpool and City. The only two teams that are in contention to win the Premier League this season are those two again, and that's a fact.
I completely could not agree more with you. I think United fans running away with themselves a bit before they can walk, really. I mean, when has Gary Neville celebrated a bottle of champagne for being joint top? I mean, is that what the times are now? I mean, Klopp said it in his own press conference, which to some may have sounded a bit bitter, but he was telling the truth. People are celebrating being near to us. That's how good we are.
Do you know what? It's also partly because the social media age we live in now, isn't it? Mate. You know, like everybody wants to go viral, everybody wants to be funny on Twitter. You know, even me. You know, I might tweet some stupid stuff.
You're funny on Twitter. I gotta give it to you, man. You're good on Twitter.
But you know, like I don't. Whenever I tweet stuff about Arsenal or whatever, I know whenever people try to give it back to me, like United fans will come back and say, you lot are 11th, or when we were like, you know, 15th, 16th. Yeah. Well, I think we didn't go 16th, but when we were down in 14th, 15th, they're like, you know, you lot are down in a relegation battle. But I'm not talking, I know that we're not going to win the league. Whereas United fans, they're talking like they are going to win the league. I almost can't believe what I'm seeing. Like 2 weeks ago, it was Ole out. And now it's like, mate, you know, he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. It's mental.
How many times has he been maybe half away from getting sacked, and then somehow he wins the game and everyone's on his side again? It's unbelievable. Yeah. Darren Whelan, big fan of the show. Spot on, Brighty. We are just not the only team who has had our struggles. The players will be hurting as much as the fans. However, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Perfect timing to play United for us, which we will get into. I don't want to touch on Arsenal now. Obviously, yourself, you work with Arsenal, which must be a dream, bro, to be honest with you. Like,
yeah, love it.
Talk to us about of all the things that you're doing right now. What's your favourite?
So this year has kind of messed everything up for everybody in a lot of ways, you know, including myself. I'm still working for Arsenal, but I do it from this very seat. So I do the kind of the match day coverage on Arsenal.com and the app, which is cool. Do a thing called the Breakdown Live, and also Arsenal are doing a lot of stuff on Twitch now. I've noticed a lot of Premier League clubs are starting to try and do Twitch stuff, aren't they? Because you know, we're all stuck indoors, so we all need ways to be entertained, but also ways to get content out there. So that's cool, and it's nice that I'm doing it. But the big thing for me was, and the reason I wanted to work for Arsenal is I want to be at the stadium, I want to be at the training ground, you know, I want to be meeting the players and blah blah. And I very much was doing all of that stuff. So like you say, it's a dream come true for a fan of any club to get a job with that club and be able to have access all areas and stuff like that. So hopefully, you know, with what's happening now with, you know, I don't want to turn this into a vaccine podcast or whatever, but now what's happening with that and you know, what could potentially happen in the not too distant future, fingers crossed that, you know, back end of this season, if not next season, we'll be able to all get back to some kind of semi-normality, and I'll be able to get back to London Colney and interview some of the players again. That'd be great.
Yeah, London Colney, great M&S there with the great deli in London Colney. It's actually not too far from where I live. My mum's in Barnet, so it's only 10 minutes from there.
So quite a lot of Arsenal players, previous Arsenal players anyway, I'm not too sure now, because I used to live in East Barnet. And,
really? Did you?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
And quite a lot of previous Arsenal players used to live around there. So Bakary Sagna used to live around there. Because I used to see him all the time in the Sainsbury's in High Barnet. Actually, he was always in there. So,
do you know what? Yeah. My mum lives literally on. I won't give her address away here, but I mean, I'm between here and my mum's house when lockdown isn't happening. And I was walking around Barnet the other day, and Aubameyang literally drove past me, and I knew it was him, because how could
you can't miss him, can you?
No, exactly. That car. I mean, Serge Aurier is always in the Tesco's. Moussa Sissoko I saw in Tesco Potter's Bar just before Christmas. So it's crazy. A lot of Arsenal Spurs players do live in that area. You'll know Spitzico as well, won't you?
Yeah.
Restaurant in Barnet. Famous story about that. My mum was in there the night before Robbie Keane signed for Liverpool. And he came in and was picking up a takeaway, and she said, "Oh, where are you off to in such a rush?" My mum's not an alcoholic, by the way. She wasn't in there every night. But she spoke to Robbie Keane. She actually persuaded, true story as well, she persuaded Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's mum that he should go to Liverpool. She overheard the conversation with Mark, his dad, and he was like, "Oh, should we do Chelsea? Should we do Liverpool?" And his mum said, "Yeah, but that means he's got to move to Liverpool." And my mum stepped in, because being a Scouser, she stepped in and said, "Listen, it's all good." And obviously we had our man in the end. But you started on the Twitch stuff. My mate, Dan Khan, big fan of his. I love him. He's my brother, to be honest with you. So happy that you're on there with him. But there is a couple of players at Arsenal, I can't lie, Nick, who I have kept a keen eye on. Look at that. There you go.
I just wanted to show you Oba's car. Or one of
many,
yeah. So
wrapped by the one and only Yanamais, no doubt.
Yeah. That was the last time that was actually the last time I was at the training ground, because I was up there doing for the junior gunners. I had to give them a tour of the whole training ground, and the sick thing about that for me is I've been to the training ground loads of times, but normally when you go, you only go to the media centre, and you have to stay in the media centre for whatever player you've been allocated. They come into the media centre. You've got a little room and you do your interview or whatever. When I did the training ground tour, obviously it's access all areas, because we're showing the kids around. So I was like a kid on that tour. It's like we were in the boot room. So we had so I know you like football boots and that. So we had every single player's boots in the boot room. So I was getting pictures with Aubameyang's customized boots and that, and it was proper sick. And the facilities are. And the thing is, Arsenal's training ground's not even one of the best anymore, because obviously Leicester have got a brand new one, Liverpool have got a brand new one. Spurs training ground's really good, even though it pains me to say it. And Arsenal's is still really good. So it makes me think, I bet Liverpool's and Leicester's, and I've been to the Spurs one, but not access all areas. But there's some incredible facilities, and it makes you think, God, these players must never want to leave these training grounds. The gym,
and they've all got hotels in them as well, and overnight places, and you wouldn't.
That's what they have to do now, isn't it? Like the night before a match day, they all stop in the training ground now, and then they get on the bus and travel to the stadium together. But the Spurs one had a pitch and putt in there. You can do golf and stuff.
I've actually seen it. It's in Enfield, isn't it? Yeah, just on the corner there. Nice place. But yeah, I mean, a big fan of Arsenal, Nick. I can't lie. I mean, I grew up not a big fan like that, soft spot fan, because I grew up. I was 7 when the kind of 2001 title season with Arsenal happened. Obviously, everyone had the Freddie Ljungberg red hair through the middle.
Yeah.
So it's a bit like being an Everton fan growing up in Liverpool now, really. I mean, I didn't support them, but of course I saw all this success, and I've got a lot of respect for Arsenal. Without doubt, the third biggest club in England, and I don't think that is up for discussion, really. It's a fact. But 2 players that I'm really keen on. And Jurgen Klopp's done his work in kind of speaking about this in particular player, saying he's a generational talent. Gabriel Martinelli, some player. I mean, I was at the 5-5 Anfield game last season, or the season before that in the League Cup. He scores 2 at the Kop end within the first 15 minutes. So they were kind of tap-ins, but at the same time, you're thinking, this kid is so young and he's just putting the goals away. Klopp's already a big fan of him. I actually tweeted quite recently, I'd love to see him in a Liverpool shirt. Him and Emil Smith-Rowe, Nick, 2 players I'm really liking. Talk to me about them.
both of those guys are unbelievable players, and in the last 3 games, obviously we've won the last 3 games, which feels like a novelty to say as a Gooner, to be honest with you, because we've had a really, really torrid season. But it looks like we seem to have found the formula that works, and it coincides with the fact that we've brought Emil Smith-Rowe in as a creative number 10 outlet for, you know, actually being able to give us some opportunities. Because let's be honest, previous games to this, they were so difficult to watch because we were creating maybe like 2 chances a game. It's just not good enough. So Emil Smith-Rowe now there is doing a job and actually passing forwards. Can you imagine? He's passing forwards. I mean, and then you've got Martinelli, whose work rate is just absolutely ridiculous. That's the one thing I'll say about Martinelli. He reminds me of a hybrid between Luis Suarez and Alexis Sanchez, in that, like,
I can see that.
His work rate on and off the ball is it's unbelievable, and he doesn't tire. He does not tire. And I know he's young and he's fit and blah blah blah, but the fact that he's just come back from a serious injury layoff, even in his first game back, he was just unreal. But let's not forget Bukayo Saka in that 3-man kind of attack there as well, because Bukayo's an unbelievable talent as well. So I said it the other day on the match day show for Arsenal on the Breakdown Live. I said, you know, Barcelona, people like to break it down into acronyms, don't they? Real Madrid had the BBC at one point, didn't they? Whereas, like, we now have SMS. We've got Saka, Martinelli, Smith-Rowe. I know it's got Smith-Rowe's like double barrel. Yeah. We're shoehorning it in. We've got our own SMS, and then we've got obviously Aubameyang there as well. The interesting thing is, obviously, Oba is our club captain, and he needs to play because he's the club captain. But if I'm being honest with you, you know, ahead of that 3, because, you know, that 3 play just behind the main striker, don't they? And then the main striker at the minute is Lacazette, and I think you can't drop Lacazette at the moment. You know, I know in the last game Arteta switched out Martinelli for Aubameyang, and I guess you could do that, but I'm looking at it like Oba now is in a position where we played so well without him, and when we brought him in, if I remember correctly, the first game that we won out of the 3, I can't remember who they were against because they all blur into one over the Christmas period.
Was it Chelsea? 3-0 Chelsea.
But that was. Or was
there a 1-0 before that?
See, I can't remember. I need the results on my phone. My memory.
Brighton?
Yeah, Brighton. That was it. So that was the second one, I think. Yeah. And that was the poor performance. That's when we brought Oba back to play through the middle, and Laka was on the bench, and we didn't play well at all. Exactly. Yeah. And then for the third one, what they did is they took Martinelli out, put Oba on the left, and Laka back through the middle up top. And it's like, it feels to me a little bit like Arteta's like, well, I've got to get Laka in the team because he's the captain, but I don't know if we're the most effective with Aubameyang in the team at the moment, you know, which is a mad thing to say considering obviously last season he was absolutely unbelievable, undroppable. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have, but equally it's probably a bit of a headache for Arteta.
Yeah, for sure. I think Smith-Rowe, with all the shouts or non-shouts really for the Ozil situation, he's kind of come in and said, well, actually, you don't need to either bring back or go out and get another number 10 because I'm here. And that kind of low sock attitude is what I call it. Shimpad's basically showing you can see he's a grafter, Smith-Rowe. Like, there's no doubt about it, and I think he will go far under Arteta.
The low socks thing is quite new, though, for Smith-Rowe, because I've obviously seen him play for Arsenal quite a few times because, like I say, I've been working there for a bit. And yes, he's kind of burst on the scene these last 3 games in the Premier League, but he's played quite a bit in the Europa League and in the Carabao Cup and stuff like that. And the low socks thing was never a thing. He never did that until these last few games. So maybe he's seen what Jack Grealish is doing and wants a little bit of that, you know? Maybe it gives you powers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, try and name some others. I think Totti used to have his like that, didn't he? Back in the day.
Well, Thierry Henry was the opposite, wasn't he? He was like the first person
he was
to
pull them right up.
Although, did you see the weird tights that some of the Arsenal players were wearing against West Brom the other night when it was snowing?
I did.
That was so weird.
Was Tierney wearing them though?
No, of course not, mate. Tierney shorts and t-shirts. No way.
That was a
He's
hot
from
night for him
Scotland.
the other night.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
He had the suntan lotion out at half time, mate. Didn't you see him?
Literally. Like what a warrior. I mean, to play in.
Yeah.
That's the kind of. I mean, when I was a kid, and if I did wear a pair of night gloves, my dad would literally grab me by the ear and say, "Take them off." And it's just an old school thing, isn't it? But then you look at someone like Henry, who for 7 out of 10 times wore long sleeves with gloves, but you couldn't say anything to him. You're not going to take him off for not being a hard man, are you?
Look, mate, if you're doing the business on the pitch, you can wear what you want, mate.
I must have scored no goal that game.
Yeah.
I can't have been playing well, to be fair.
People couldn't care less. You can rock up in a clown outfit, mate, if you're scoring a hat trick.
Right, let's get on to. We're going to come back to Arsenal, Newcastle, and Villa, Liverpool predictions. Of course, big week and in the FA Cup. But let's touch on the match day mixer. Now, what is the match day mixer? I hear you ask. Well, obviously, as Nick touched on already, we cannot and will not be able to go to Premier League grounds this season, it looks like. So I thought I'd bring the 5 best parts of the match day experience to you. So we've got a jacket, we've got a pair of trainers, we have some music, some food, and some drink as well. I'm sure you'll agree, Nick, 5 vital components of the match day experience. And your choices have just got Arsenal written all over them, which is absolutely brilliant. So I asked Nick a couple of days ago to send his match day mixer. The jacket, I mean, let's take the question being asked as if it was now. So he's gone for a Canada Goose jacket. Obviously, we've taken the fur off for this one. We're very PETA friendly on this channel. Yeah. But this is obviously a big man jacket. Robbie actually chose this one as well when he came on from AFTV. He's got a few of these. But yeah,
Robbie's making enough money, mate. You know what I mean? Jeez. The reason I think this is quite a simple one, mate. When you go to the football, it is freezing. Like there's a kind of a little bit of a window at the end of the season and at the start of the season where it's all right. You know, you can get away. Yeah, exactly. Although there's probably, Newcastle fans hearing this thinking, it's t-shirt weather all year round, mate. You know, what are you talking about, you Southerners? Exactly. But like at the games, especially if it's an evening game, sometimes like an 8 o'clock kickoff on a Monday night, it's freezing cold. I just got to be warm. I've got to be warm at the games, man. So that's why I've gone for that jacket. And this is maybe I'm showing my age a little bit in that, like, style has gone out the window. Not to say that Canada Goose jackets ain't nice or anything, but the style's gone, and I'm all about the job that it does.
Practicality over substance. Yeah, I know, big fan. You have to. I mean, we started the Kop TV January this year. The first game was Everton in the FA Cup. Curtis Jones scored a screamer. I remember standing outside and it was absolutely freezing. And then as the kind of months wore on, it got a little bit lighter. And then as soon as the new season's come back in, I mean, I was outside Anfield for the Tottenham game a couple of weeks ago for the Kop TV. Absolutely Baltic, mate. Absolutely. Yeah. It's just next level of cold up there in Liverpool. It's never not cold or windy in Liverpool. It's always wind. That's just something I've learned for the 20 years plus of going there. But good choice. Canada Goose, that will always keep you warm. Now, of course, obviously, you want to wear something on your feet that's, 1, going to keep you warm. 2 is going to get you through that walk from Holloway Road to the Emirates in one piece. And something stylish as well. And these definitely go. It could have been any colour. Producer Stan, I probably expect that he's literally just typed in Air Max 90, and this is the first picture that's come up, knowing him, which is great.
So let me just tell you that I've actually got that pair of Air Max 90s.
No way.
So those are the Halloween ones. Those are the Halloween ones that dropped this year or last year. Sorry, they dropped for Halloween just gone, and they got like on the toe bit. There's like, you can't really see it in this picture, but you can see it a little bit. There's like spider webs on them. So like they got like spider webs, and the bottom bit, the like white bit on the sole. That's actually that's actually like glow in the dark.
Okay.
Luminous bit. So they're upstairs. I would whop them out, but they're upstairs in my room. So
who would have thought it though? That's the right picture then. So we can give Stan a little tap on the back then. Good lad, Stan.
Yeah, smashed it. But the reason I like Air Max 90s is I just feel like they're a good all rounder. Sometimes I don't know about you, but sometimes certain trainers only work with certain jeans or certain trousers or whatever. But like Air Max 90s, man, you can just bang them on with whatever jeans you're wearing, and they seem to look all right. So, you know, and they're comfy and all, you know.
I personally would have gone for an Air Max 1. I just think that particular silo. Actually, I'm going to go as far as saying this: the Air Max 1 silo is the best ever sneaker silo of all time.
So Air Max 1s, I'm a fan of as well. I've got loads of pairs of Air Max 1s upstairs again because I'm addicted to buying trainers basically, bro. I've got like 140 pairs of trainers in this house.
I'm around the same.
But yeah, Air Max 1s are cool, but they don't release enough colorways for them. That you know,
but the thing though, man. I'm not one of these like. You can still go out and buy some really sick Air Maxes that aren't maybe this season, but I'm not. I'm more of a classics guy. I've got shitloads of, you know, Jordan 3s, 1s and 4s, but only the breads, only the cements, like only the classics. I don't really need to wait for them to bring out a new colorway. Like, I'm not a hype beast at all, and I'm not saying you are. But I'm saying you can still find, you are a bit. I'm not gonna lie to you, but you can still find them banging Air Max 1s, online. They might be a few seasons old, but for me, the thrill of finding them and actually going up. Because we had Fenners on the show recently, and he's the same with jackets. So I said to him, like, "You sure you must be getting Stone Island send you all these jackets?" He's like, "No, man. I enjoy the thrill of getting on eBay, getting on Depop, getting on Grailed, and actually finding the product, even if I have to swap it to get it." He loves the actual journey of completion. So, no, I can see why you're a fan.
Yeah, I mean, also the thing with me, I very much like to match like a t-shirt or a hoodie to the trainers. So that's why I'm like more of a fan of the Air Max 90, because they are available in more colorways, whereas the Air Max 1, although it's a great silhouette, there's less colorways available for it, therefore you've got less options on colors of hoodies and stuff. At the moment, I'm actually on the lookout for some Air Max 90s or 1s that have got yellow on, because I've got the did you see the Nike Nocta Drake collab?
Yeah, unbelievable.
I
so you've got that?
Yeah, I managed to get the yellow one. I didn't get the puffer jacket. I got the overhead hoodie and the tracksuit bottoms. So the tracksuit, but I just need a pair of kicks that will go with it properly. You know, because I've got other ones that will, but you know, I want some that have got some yellow in, basically.
Right, guys. Any sneakerheads watching, find Nick Bright some yellow trainers.
Yeah, but good ones though.
Good, decent. They've got to be Nike as well. You can't be out here brand clashing. That's just a big no.
Of course. No.
Can never do that. Right, love that. Trainers, jacket, boxed off. What are you listening to on the way? Do you know what? It's funny. I actually had a feeling you picked this guy, but I was actually just listening to Yizzy, Thierry Henry, which got me in the mood to speak to such an Arsenal fan like yourself. You've gone with Chip, obviously North London boy. Loves his Arsenal, absolute wordsmith. Genuinely, for me, and I'm not just saying it because you've picked him, I say it to everyone, he's top 3. He is top 3.
Definitely,
the consistency, the years, at least 10 years he's been in the game now, if not more. Well, it's been 15 years. I think his Ice Kid freestyle was 06 or 07.
Yeah. When he came on with Westwood in that.
There you go.
Back in the day when Wiley brought him onto Westwood show at Radio 1. The thing is with Chip is obviously he's from Tottenham, and he reps Tottenham like quite a lot in his music, but he's a big Arsenal fan. So I could have went with Wretch 32 as well, who's a massive Arsenal fan. I was basically But this is the thing, you know, when you grew up in, I kind of live not too far from Tottenham myself, but I'm from South London originally. But I'm an Arsenal fan through family. You know, I had no choice. My granddad's Ghanaian, and when he came to this country from Ghana, he settled on Arsenal, and that's it. My whole family now is all Arsenal. But like around this area, you've got so many Arsenal fans who grew up in Tottenham, because back then Tottenham were rubbish, you know. But I'm not afraid to admit now Tottenham are decent now, but I'm talking like back then Tottenham were rubbish. No one wanted to support Tottenham, you know. Now it's a different story. Obviously, Mourinho's there, got them playing boring football, but they're you know, close to the top of the league, so you can't knock it.
Yeah, I mean it's a great choice nonetheless, though. Chip,
Yeah,
actually just about to release a new song with Bugsy Malone of all
which
people.
is which is very interesting because obviously, yeah, if you follow music or you follow
Of
that
course,
the kind of grime scene or whatever, you'll know that Chip and Bugsy Malone have got history. They had huge beef, and it's kind of
huge
the
beat.
thing that it's the kind of thing that launched Bugsy Malone's career actually, because you know he was known within the circles in Manchester, but you know beyond that, people didn't really know him. And then
Yeah,
he had this beef with Chip, and because Chip's got a wider fan base and a wider audience who've been listening to him, people started paying attention to Bugsy Malone, and obviously now Bugsy Malone is massive. He's I think I watched a film on Amazon or something, and Bugsy was in the film.
The
I can't remember.
Gentleman, the
Yes,
Gentleman.
yeah.
Yeah,
Bugsy's in the
yeah.
film and that.
He's
So
got a song in that.
yeah, it's obviously changed his life, and I
Yeah,
think the nice thing about this is I think he realizes that, and there's no kind of hard feelings between the two of them. Yeah, they had beef back then, but let's keep it musical. Let's keep it on the records, and it doesn't need to turn into actual violence and stuff like that because nobody wants to see that or hear that.
and
So
nobody. If you're up for a bit of lyrical warfare, Chip is the wrong person to pick.
oh,
As is Gets, as is P Money. They're kind of my top three people you just
yeah.
wouldn't want to be up against. But who would have thought back in 2015 when Bugsy Malone travelled down to Chit King in Tottenham High Road to film his diss to Chip that they'd be working on songs together? I think Bugsy is a multi millionaire now with his
Yeah.
JD deal. So incredible, really.
Yeah, it's really it's a good story at the end of the day,
It is.
and Chip makes good music. So if you haven't checked him out, give him a listen.
100%, man. Big up to Chip. Right, let's get into your food. I mean, I have a mixed relationship with food outside the Emirates. So I remember we played you in the League Cup back in 2009, October.
Yeah.
Aquilani came on to make his debut. This is how how long
Wow.
ago it was.
Okay.
And we was thinking, oh, we've got the new Xabi Alonso here, pinging balls everywhere. And then all of a sudden, I had a really big twitch in my stomach. Basically, I had one of the burgers outside in the vans, got food poisoning, and we lost the game. So not a great evening in North London, that. But I'm a very, very aware of Pybury Corner. I work a lot with the AFTV lads, so we film around there. They've got an office around there, and we walk past this place all the time. Troops loves it in here. Pybury Corner. You've gone for the chicken balti pie. Get on that.
So Pybury Corner, obviously, it's a play on words for Highbury Corner because it's just down the road from Highbury Corner. Highbury and Islington Station is on Highbury Corner, so you just walk down the road from there, and you come across Pybury Corner. And the good thing about this place is on match days when the weather's nice. There's an old boy who sits out the front playing 12-inch records and 7-inch singles on vinyl and stuff, and like he's got kind of old ska records and reggae records, and he plays them on match days while you're this is all, it feels so alien now because we haven't had a match day experience for so long. But yeah, and then you go in the shop, and there's normally a massive queue to get in, right? So you get in there, but then all the pies are named after current or former Arsenal players. So for example, the chicken balti, this was the last time I went. The chicken balti is actually it's the Lee Dixon. So I don't know the relevance or the reason why, but Lee Dixon was the chicken balti. I want to say that Tony Adams was steak and kidney. I want to say that. I can't remember off the top of my head exactly why. Theo Walcott was jerk chicken, whereas I think they should have made Righty jerk chicken because Righty loves his dancehall music as well. He loves his reggae and that, singing along to Shabba Ranks in his car and that. So
yeah. I love Righty so much.
So that's kind of how they do it, yeah. And I got pie and mash in there one day before a match, just on a random one. I decided to go in there and get pie and mash, and then ever since then, whenever I go to a game, mainly when I'm not working, this is the only downside about working for your club is a lot of the time you don't have the regular match day experience anymore as a fan. True. Because I'm normally working, and I guess it's like there's pros and cons.
And a curse.
Yeah, because when you work, I get access to the press room at the Emirates Stadium, and a lot of the press. Maybe now that Spurs have got a new stadium, it's different. But for years, the Arsenal press room was the most desired one to go to for the press because the food is so good. And they loved it. You know, you get a proper dinner in there, depending on what time the games kick off. You know, you'll if it's a Sunday game, you normally get a full roast dinner with a choice of like 3 different meats, or you know, if you're a vegetarian, you can have the veggie option. You can, what's that? Can you order?
Doyle's gone. Can you order the pies with the players' names? I'll have a piping hot Tony Adams, please, kidder. That's what he means.
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. The pies are called. It says like the Tony Adams, and then next to it says, you know, steak and kidney or whatever. Like, so you'll go in there and you'll say, "Can I have an Ian Wright?" And they'll just bang it up for you. But yeah, I was just going to say about the food in the press room. When we used to be in the Champions League, remember those days? Like those were good games because it was like they would try and match the food to the kind of nation of the club we were playing. So like,
if make me feel at home.
Yeah, if we're playing like you know, Real Madrid or whatever, they would have like a paella or something like that.
Tapas, nice.
Exactly that. So like, I just thought it was a bit of a nice touch. You know, if we played Bayern Munich, there'd be like a bratwurst in there or something. You know.
I wonder what the meal would have been when you played Dundalk.
What I'm trying to think. Like a stew? Is that?
A meat stew. It would have been because
and a pint of
Irish
Guinness.
Love a stew. A pint of Guinness in a stew.
Yeah, that'd do. I mean, I'll take it. You know,
I'm sure the Irish journalists would love that one. Absolutely, no doubt about it. Right now, the drink is like you say. I think since I've been doing the Kop TV, normally I'd be in the pub with the lads watching it, and then whatever after. But because I'm on job now when I watch these games, and I have to be outside the stadiums after, a beer does warm me up. I can't lie, a beer does warm me up on these cold nights. But you've gone for a Beck's Blue, not specifically a Beck's Blue, I must add. Other non-alcoholic beers are available, of course. But a non-alcoholic beer you don't drink, Nick.
Yeah, so well, this is the thing, right? I don't want to say that I don't drink because I'm not somebody who will never ever have a drink. But I haven't been drunk for about just over 3 years. It was New Year's Eve 3 years ago when I was DJing at a party at the O2 Academy in Islington. It was a really good party actually. We did like a 90s house party. It was amazing. But I was just like hammered. And then like the next 2 days where when it's just like a write-off and you just can't get over it. And then since then I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna cut this right down. So I've basically like cut it right down, but I will have a beer still. If I go on holiday or if I just fancy having a beer or whatever, I'll have one. But the weird thing is, like I said, because I work for the club now, because I work for Arsenal, and Arsenal got a sponsorship deal with the Camden Brewery. That's the official beer for Arsenal. They send me. I'm like I've got this thing called a beer season ticket, and Camden Brewery send me like a box of 12 Arsenal beers a month. But I don't really drink them. So like I said, I'll have it every now and then. So like I had one on New Year's Eve. I think I thought because it was New Year's Eve, innit? I just opened one and had one. But like I'm not really like banging it hard. Like back there, I've actually got loads of non-alcoholic beers, but I can't be bothered to get up and show you. But there's loads of non-alcoholic ones over there. But they're actually really good now. That my dad, right? Let me tell you, my dad is a pub guy. He's been going to pubs, and my dad. He drinks enough beer for me 7 times over. Trust me. So he's been going to pubs his whole life, and before this lockdown mad stuff happened, because he does a radio feature on my One Extra show, and after he came in to record some bits and pieces for it, we went to the pub, and there's a pub near work where you can get Heineken Zero on draft, and
which pub is that? I know pubs around BBC quite well.
So the Crown and Scepter.
I know that one.
Around there, yeah. You can get Heineken Zero on draft, and my dad was like laughing at me when I ordered it, because he's such a pub geezer, Yeah. Like, what are you doing that for? Why don't you just get a real pint? Blah blah blah. And anyway, he tried it, and he was actually like massively surprised, because I think what it is there's a stigma attached to non-alcoholic beer where people think it tastes shit, because I'm guessing back in the day they used to. Well, I'm guessing back in the day it used to be crap, but now the technology's got better. Look, I'm not an aficionado for it, but I did a little bit of reading up. Apparently, the technology's got better now that they brew it with the alcohol in, and then they can remove the alcohol afterwards, so that the brewing process is still exactly the same as an actual beer now.
Okay.
So like the taste is less different. The Heineken Zero, believe me, as somebody that does drink beers still, it's not like I never ever drink beer, but the Heineken Zero just tastes like a beer to me. It's mad.
Do you know what? It's funny you mentioned that. Jordan Henderson obviously is famous for not drinking. He's just announced he's doing a deal with Bud Zero.
Yeah,
so
they're all at it, man.
They're all at it. I can't wait till more players turn that way, because it is looking very different to the kind of 90s stages of drinking and the culture.
You've got to look at it like, you know, these elite sports people, they can't be aligning themselves with what is considered an unhealthy lifestyle. And I'm not saying that to try and preach, because I feel like having a beer and all of that is part of British culture and it's part of going to the match and blah, blah, blah. But when you're an elite level sports person, it's different, isn't it? You know what I mean? You can't really be like, oh, I'm here. I'm like a top level footballer, but I'm going to knock back 15 pints. You know what I mean? It's not like you say, the 90s. Again, my dad, because he's a top blagger, he managed to, where we grew up, I grew up, literally, my house was a stone's throw away from Selhurst Park. Crystal Palace's ground, and at the time Wimbledon were ground sharing with Crystal Palace at this time when I was growing up, and this was the crazy gang, the original Wimbledon, you know Vinnie what I mean? Jones, yeah, exactly. Vinnie Jones, Fashanu, it was all those guys, you know. And my dad used to blag us. I don't know how he used to do it, because it was him, me, and my brother, but he always used to manage to blag us into the players' lounge after the game. And let me tell you, I've been to the players' lounge at the Emirates quite a few times. The most boring room in the Emirates Stadium. Everyone goes, I'd love to get in the players' lounge, see the players. You go in there, and the players and their families are just sitting there drinking coffee and fruit juice. It's crap. The players' lounge at Selhurst Park, mate, let me tell you, when the crazy gang were there, I was a kid and I can remember it. They were knocking back the pints like it was going out of fashion, mate. It was a different time.
Absolutely. And bring us, you know, we could talk about that all night, but there is a fine balance between obviously having too much fun and being ready to play on the pitch the next day. But great chat there. I absolutely love your match day mixer. It's easily one of the most unique ones we've had. Brilliant choices. Let's move on then to Would You Rather. Let's make this nice and quick, because I'm sure that we could talk about this all night, and if we wanted to bring Liverpool into it as well. But as you're an Arsenal fan, it's only right really that we pick your dream five-a-side team. Let's just imagine it's a cold, rainy night in, I don't know, Frying Barnet Power League. Let's call it that. And the lads turn up in the little minibus. Who is jumping out of that minibus? We've given you a goalkeeper, one defender, two midfielders, and a striker. Who have we got?
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going Big Dave Seaman in goal, without question. Sense. You know what I mean? He's my guy. I'm going. It's got to be Mr. Arsenal centre back, Tony Adams.
Yeah, it has to be.
You know, don't get me wrong. We've had some great defenders, you know, over the years. And Sol Campbell come through, of course, amazing. But you know, Tony Adams, to dedicate his life to the club and be as good as he was, you can't really go for anybody else. Now, this is where it gets interesting for me, because, you know, there's so many players that I want to squeeze into these next three positions. It's so annoying, especially because Wrighty is one of my heroes. Like, being from South London myself, Ian Wright was from Brockley, which is an area of Southeast London, and when I was growing up, to see him playing for Arsenal was just like unbelievable. And I firmly believe, not me, because like I said, it was because of my granddad and my dad and my uncle that I'm an Arsenal fan, but I firmly believe in South London specifically, there's so many Arsenal fans because of Ian Wright. But unfortunately, he's not going to make my team because
absolute tease.
The positions don't work. So I'm gonna jump straight to the striker, because it's easier for me to sort that. Striker, it's got to be TTN. It's got to be Thierry Henry. Yeah. Then weirdly, I know he didn't play centre midfield for us, but I refuse to do an Arsenal team without having, in my opinion, the greatest player to ever pull on the Arsenal shirt. Dennis Bergkamp is going to take one of those centre midfield positions.
He can play anywhere though, Nick. He didn't need a position to be titled with. He'll just pick the ball up and pop it about.
Run with, and especially at Power League, you know what I mean? Unbelievable.
Oh, mate, get the ball off him at Power League. No way. I'm sorry.
And then the other centre mid position. Now this is I'm trying to be tactical with this. So we don't. Now we got Thierry Henry up top, and then we got Dennis Bergkamp. So Thierry's fast. Bergkamp's not too fast. Because I was going to go Fabregas, right? I was going to go Fabregas because Fabregas can keep the ball, but Fabregas is not that fast. Do you know what? Actually, I've changed my mind again. I've changed my mind again. No. These positions are staying, so I'm going Dave Seaman, goalkeeper. Tony Adams, centre back, but then we need a bit more protection. So I'm going to go Patrick Vieira, box. Yeah. Then Dennis Bergkamp, then Thierry Henry. That is the team.
I like that. Doyle has got in touch. A big Liverpool fan, Doyle, but he said Seaman, Tony Adams, Vieira, Pires, and Henry.
Close to in the same. Yeah.
I mean, for me, you have to have Paddy in there. The Vicks on the shirt as you come out. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I tried to replicate that with snot. Didn't really work the same. Didn't really make me play as good as him. But an absolute battle giant on the pitch. We love that. It's a great team. And listen, one day I'll give you my Liverpool team, and we'll have a vote off to see who wins that five-a-side.
On a Liverpool channel. I think
on a Liverpool channel.
I think I've got more chance of being a Premier League footballer myself than winning that.
All right, well, we'll choose a neutral platform. Here's one, though, for you. What 2 Arsenal players / managers would you invite to dinner?
Ooh.
Space at the house for 2, Nick, so make sure it's a good 2.
Well, for me, straight away, you cannot ignore. I think this is quite an easy one for me, actually, believe it or not. There are loads of Arsenal players and people that I'd like to chat to and interview and blah, blah, blah. But I've already mentioned one of the people who is a hero of mine, and I'm lucky enough to have met him now quite a few times. Ian Wright has got to be on the list because he is just an absolute joker. You know, can you imagine having a dinner party with Wrighty? It'd be a laugh a minute. And then, especially because these two know each other as well, it's got to be Arsene Wenger. You know,
okay.
Yeah, like because I don't, you know, I know it turned sour for a lot of people with Arsene Wenger, and I'm one of the people as well. And I'm not afraid to say this on record because I've said it on numerous different platforms. I'm one of the people that thought that he should go as well. But the difference between me and a lot of the other people that I wasn't Wenger out. I was Wenger. Thank you very much for what you've done, but let's give someone else an opportunity. You know what I mean? And I think that's where it went wrong. You know, some
squeeze that on a banner, though, isn't it, Nick?
Mm-hmm.
It's tough to squeeze that on the end of a banner, isn't it? Everything, but it's time to give someone else.
Well, I mean, the famous DT banner was quite long, wasn't it? Arsene, thanks for the memories, but it's time to say goodbye. I mean, that's quite long, you know.
I'll give you that.
But, I mean, Wenger, I feel like, personally, the reason I'd want to invite him to dinner is... I don't know if you read his book. A lot of people were excited when his book came out because they were like, we're going to get all the dirt, we're going to get all the stories. But Wenger's such a respectful character that even in the book, I feel like he's not letting off the stories. You know what I mean? Like he's
an old school man. He's not a kiss and tell. I mean, personally,
I kind of feel like if you had him round for dinner, though, you could give him a few, you know, Chateau Neuf de Paps, you know, get them down your neck, Arsene, mate. You know what I mean? And
exactly.
you'll be laughing.
Chateau Neuf de Paps, a fine red wine, and I don't even know red wine, but that's a good one.
I used to work in a pub, so yeah. But anyway, go on.
I did as well. I have always said it. My favourite 2 non-LFC players of all time, Thierry Henry and Ian Wright. I mean, I never even really saw Ian Wright play. He was maybe just before my time, but the vibes that man gives off and the love he shows. Do you know what? It's crazy because Robbie and Ian are very close. So Robbie actually has part ownership in this channel. I didn't know if you knew that. But he must have had a word with Wrighty. And I wake up one morning, click on my YouTube notifications, and Ian Wright has subscribed to my channel. I'm like, that can't be the Ian Wright.
Mm-hmm.
I've clicked through. It's all legit. Robbie has told him, get on Alex. He does this thing, the Kop TV, and out of love, like, Wrighty subscribed. So 100% big up Wrighty. That would be some dinner party. I can't lie. The red wine would be flowing. I'm sure Wrighty would come along with a decent bottle of red, whereas to me it seems like Wenger would bring the stakes himself. You know what I mean? But I've just picked these up.
I just think you'd get some great stories, you know, in Wrighty's autobiography, because I've got that. The thing is with me, right, is I start a lot of books and then I don't finish them, and I've started Wrighty's one, and then in his autobiography he talks about when Wenger came to the club and all the players kind of took the piss out of him a bit, like behind the scenes. They were like, who's this guy? You know, who's this geography teacher looking bloke who's you know, really gentle? Because they were used to like George Graham and then Bruce Rioch, who came for a very brief period after George Graham. And they were used to that, like, you know, iron fist kind of ruling, beasting people on the training ground. And that's not Arsene Wenger. And they were just like, this ain't going to work. You know, nobody thought that he was going to be successful. And I just think if you've got those two together, you know, you get the red wines flowing in that, you just get some great stories, you know.
Oh, mate, I'd pay to be a fly on the wall. And if it ever does happen, that dinner party round yours, I need an invite. And I'm not even an Arsenal fan. But that's very fun, I can't lie. Right, Would You Rather wrapped up. Fantastic stuff. Let's quickly come on to the top of the Kops moments of the week. Obviously, Nick, you're a music man. You'll know that top of the Kops is, of course, a play on words to top of the pops. And in top of the pops, there is a number one every week. Number two this week, a non-mover, is this. Klopp talking about Manchester United last night after the loss at St Mary's. He specifically said Manchester United have had more penalties in 2 years than me in 5.5 years, but we have no excuses for tonight. Is Klopp rattled, Nick?
Oh, whenever I see managers talking about stuff like this, I just always think to myself, bro, like, just don't. Just even if that's what you think, just because when you do this, what happens now is it just sensationalizes kind of the reaction on social media and with the papers and the journalists, and now everybody's going to act like Klopp's bitter and blah blah blah. And I just think just ignore it. You know, like I said earlier, I still think Liverpool and Manchester City are the two best teams in the league. Man, don't concentrate on Manchester United; they'll fall away. You know, but at the same time, it is really annoying that they seem to get a penalty all the time. I'm not going to lie.
It is 33 of them so far this season, which is crazy. And the title of this show is Will Penandes and Co beat us? We were just going to finish the top of the Kops, then we will get onto a couple of predictions. But number one this week, very, very, very sad that we learnt of the passing of the one and only Jerry Marsden, of course, the head honcho of Jerry and the Pacemakers. Of course, he penned the famous song "You'll Never Walk Alone," which now is our anthem, and has so many different meanings. Every time I've listened to this song, whether it's a good thing that's happened in my life or, you know, it's loss or a tragic event, this song really does create a new meaning every time, and that's what the key to good music is, and how long it lasts. And Jerry Marsden, absolute legend, passed away, so he takes the number one top of the Kops moment of the week this week. Massive shout out to his family, and he will of course be sadly missed by all Liverpool fans, Borussia Dortmund fans as well, Celtic fans, who of course will use the song. So and Mainz actually used the song as well, so all of Klopp's clubs have actually sang this song before they take to the stage, so a big part in Klopp's kind of career so far as well. Just before we finish, there are a couple of questions that I want to quickly touch on, but Nick, predictions for Arsenal Newcastle FA Cup at the weekend. What have you got, very quickly?
For me, it's nothing less than an Arsenal win, mate. We know that the FA Cup, we've won it more times than anybody else. Yeah, it's the Arsenal trophy, mate. You know, so I mean, saying that, I don't want to try and be too overconfident, because we haven't had the greatest season, but we seem to turn it on a little bit in the FA Cup. So I can't see Newcastle causing us any problems. Famous last words.
Famous last words, yeah. Incoming a 4-0 Newcastle away with. Liverpool have Aston Villa this Friday, which just seems wild to be watching a FA Cup game on a Friday night under the lights. Away, obviously they've got our number this season.
I was about to say, wasn't that the same fixture that they absolutely trounced Liverpool in? Was it away, that game?
Yeah, so it was at Villa Park. And they beat us there 5-0 in the League Cup last season. So definitely a place where we need to regain a bit of authority. Unfortunately, though, and we've seen it really from Klopp joining Liverpool, is that the FA Cup to him is a bit of a distraction to what is the bigger prize, which is obviously the league and the Champions League. But I still think he's actually going to have to be forced to play a lot of first-team players in this game. This is a saving fate kind of game now, bro, where realistically, if we don't win and we go out of a competition again at an early stage, questions will be asked. And that's not to say that, listen, let's all jump on his back, let's get him out. I'm not saying that at all. But this is a must-win game. And I didn't think I'd say this 2 weeks ago. It's a must-win for Liverpool.
I mean, I'm a little bit, maybe because I'm not a Liverpool fan, and so it's not as intense for me. I wouldn't say it's a must-win. I think Klopp's definitely got money in the bank in terms of, you know, the credit that he's garnered up at Liverpool. You know, he's won the league, won the Champions League. You know, let's not forget all these amazing feats. But I agree with you in that it will be a game where Jurgen Klopp's looking at it now like, I want my team to give a performance to shut everybody up, basically. You know, all these people out there that are doubting the team, that are saying, you know, oh, that Liverpool have lost it, they're wobbling, blah, blah, blah. You know, he'll want to put a team out that can basically spank Aston Villa, because don't get me wrong, Villa are doing their thing this season, but they're nowhere near as good as Liverpool. You know, this social media chat that people like to, you know, trot out all the time, it does my head in a bit, because, you know, if you're being honest with your heart of hearts, you know, to try and make out that Liverpool are finished or Liverpool ain't good anymore or whatever, it's a joke. Yeah, it's a joke. You know, they're like they're one of the best teams in the world, mate. You know, so you know, I think, like you, Klopp will put out quite a strong team. Maybe not the complete first 11, but I think you'll see more people than what people would have expected a couple of weeks ago.
And do you know what? The FA Cup is that kind of trophy where, growing up, obviously we had a great final against you lot, but there was the Gerrard final, and then since 2006, we've not won it, bro. So I would love us to have a good cup run in this. The furthest we got from recent memory, I think we lost the 2011 final to Chelsea. And I'm a big fan of the FA Cup. I always have been. So
I think the issue is
a good team out, mate.
The issue is nowadays, a lot of it comes down to money, doesn't it? You know, and the FA Cup, in terms of what it generates for the club, is nowhere near the same as what the Champions League, the actual Champions League competition, qualification, and the Premier League garner for them. So, you know, unfortunately, I know we don't like to talk about it much as football fans, but the business side of football dictates so much now, doesn't it? So, you know.
Well, who knows? It might be another Liverpool-Arsenal FA Cup meet. I mean, we play you in the League Cup pretty much every year. We played you in the Community Shield. I was getting sick and tired of playing you lot, to be honest.
I don't want to play you guys. Can I just?
Let's just avoid each other. I don't like playing Arsenal in Cup games.
I don't know why, mate. You know what I mean? We're not exactly great. I don't like playing you guys because I don't want to get our pants pulled down, you know, by a great side.
Well, at Anfield, traditionally we do well, but yeah, let's try and avoid each other. To be honest, mate, we're talking like we're in the next round. Let's actually get through the next round first.
Yeah, that'd be good.
You know what I mean? One last prediction on yourself is Liverpool, Manchester United, our next Premier League game next Sunday, 4:30, under the lights at Anfield. No doubt it's the biggest game of the season, but how do you see it going?
I think, and this might be a bold thing to say, I think Liverpool are going to give United a lesson. I really do. Like, it's at Anfield as well, so that is a factor. And this Manchester United side, I honestly think, it sounds like I'm a big Man United hater, and I don't mean to come across. I mean, I'm sure that's going down quite well with all the Liverpool fans, but I don't mean to come across that way. But I just think they're punching above their weight hugely this season, and now their fan base is behaving like we're back where we belong, blah blah blah. And it's like, well, hang on, like maybe if you'd won, maybe if the season had finished, right, and you'd won, or you come second or whatever, then you can start talking a bit like that. But we're literally halfway through a season. It was Ole out 3 weeks ago. Now all of a sudden, you know, he's great again. And I just think they haven't got what it takes to keep up with a team like Liverpool. Their biggest hope, I guess, is the fact that injuries are still plaguing Liverpool at the back. Yeah. I spoke to Rambo. I don't know if you know Rambo.
Rambo, Liverpool fan, yeah.
Yeah, big Liverpool fan. He was on my radio show on the weekend, and he said it's quite a bold thing for him to say, but he said if Liverpool sign a centre-back in January, he thinks Liverpool will win the league. If they don't sign a centre-back, he thinks Manchester City will win the league. So, I think that's the issue there, and that will be what Man United will be clinging on to. They'll be clinging on to the fact that you've got a relatively makeshift back line, and they'll be trying to exploit that. But if your front three can actually click again, because they've struggled over the last few weeks, if that front three can get it together again, and you've got Thiago back now as well, let's not forget. Do you know what I mean? If you can make that happen, you've got way too much for Manchester United, and in a way, I kind of hope they get a bit of a lesson just to shut their fans up. It would
be nice. It would be nice, wouldn't it? I'm not going to lie.
It just is mental. All over Sky Sports News today. I'm looking at it thinking, "Jeez, come on, lads! It's like you're talking like it's done."
I know. 21 is coming. That hashtag needs to get deaded next Sunday at Anfield. And on that day, funnily enough, I'll be on your show, On the Squad, on BBC Radio 5 Live. Is it 11 till 12, Nick, that one?
It'll be. Well, sometimes it changes depending on the on what time games kick off and stuff like that. But usually we're on 11:30 till 12:30 on BBC Radio 5 Live. So yeah, you'll be on, and it's your birthday, you said as well. So
it will be, mate. So just be nice to me. But everyone who's listening now, please do look into that one, because I think the hype surrounding that game is something that will be hard to contain. So I'm sure it'll be a good show, very much so. A couple last minute questions from Dinesh. Quick question: can you name a Liverpool and English only player who has won 2 Champions League medals with 2 English teams?
2 Champions League.
Oh, I know it. Got it. Daniel Sturridge. Forget it. Dinesh, am I right? Please tell me.
2 Champions League medals with
Chelsea
2 English.
It's got to be Steve Studge. I'm sorry, Nick. I think I've got that.
I think you're right, because in my head I was thinking maybe Michael Owen, because he went United, innit? But it's too old. That was when Liverpool weren't in the Liverpool weren't in the Champions League.
Yeah. Michael Owen, of course. I never famously won the Champions League. Yeah, man, it's great, really.
A good impression.
Of course, I won the Ballon d'Or in 2001. Big Emile Heskey, great, really. It's a great question there from Dinesh. Had to test me there. F1 Mullian with the last question of the night to finish off the show. Realistically, spelled incorrectly, but we move. AGT, when do you think Arsenal could win the league? Wow. Do you know what? At the start of the season, I think I said there will be a good 6 to 8 years that have to pass. And this isn't, please don't, I'm not trying to throw nothing at you, Nick. I'm saying, from what I can see, a little bit, maybe. You're in my domain now, buddy. I think it will be, could win the league. That's a big shout. I think realistically, the year's worth of problems you have upstairs, I think it's 5 years minimum, to be honest.
So much of it comes down to KSE, which is Stan Kroenke's company. So much of it comes down to whether they'll give Mikel Arteta, if he's the man for it, and I hope he is, because I'm very much, these people that were doubting Arteta a few weeks ago, don't get me wrong, he's still unproven, but I'm very much somebody who wants to see him succeed, because I like the fact that we got this young guy, he's passionate, he's played for the club, I like all these things, he says all the right things in the press conferences and blah, blah, blah. But if he's backed properly by KSE, which, I'm not going to hold my breath for, but if he is, then, that will be the big thing for me, because we need to make signings. You know what I mean? We need signings. We got Thomas Partey, but, we need to sign Houssam Aouar if that's going to, we need an attacking player, because Smith Rowe's great. Ozil's going to go. Smith Rowe's great, but we need options. And if we can get Houssam Aouar, that'll be amazing. So we'll have to see.
Yeah, big transfer windows soon come for Arsenal. I think as much as it is about bringing the players in, it's also about getting rid of maybe 5 to 7 names there that have really been sticking around for a little bit too long. But hey, who do I know? I'm just a Liverpool fan. Who do I know? Right, Nick Bright, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure. We have run over slightly, but it's only because we're having fun, I hope. So
yeah,
hopefully there's no dinner.
Everybody to death.
No,
but yeah,
we're chatting. No, but listen, big up to yourself. If you'd like to go and follow Nick, please, his Instagram and Twitter is in the description to this video, so please head over there. Killing it on all cylinders is Nick, and don't forget I'll be on his show next Sunday as we preview Liverpool versus Manchester United in the Premier League. That has been Top of the Cops. We will see you next time. Nick, thank you. All the best. Take care, man.
That's fine, mate.